I'm going to walk you through the process I use to verify insurance benefits for a new client. As a disclaimer, this process is not a guarantee of coverage for each client. Coverage is dependent upon the client's insurance plan. When I first schedule a session with a client, I verify their insurance policy type. If they have an insurance plan that I do not take, my first question is whether or not they want an in-network referral. Some clients do have out-of-network benefits, but often the client will need to pay a portion of the services for an out-of-network provider. If a client plans to pay out of pocket, I do explain all payment policies and procedures. If a client is using their insurance, I do require that they submit all paperwork, so then that way I have everything on file before I verify benefits. There are different types of insurance that you want to be aware of. They include Medicare, Medicaid, and private or commercial insurance. Not all private or commercial plans have nutrition counseling benefits, and some are actually limited by plan type. One thing you want to make sure of is whether or not a client has one or two payers responsible. Often you may see a client who has a primary insurance, like Medicare, and a secondary insurance like Highmark. You will need to know which insurance is considered primary because that's the insurance company you will need to bill first. It is important to note that Medicare and Medicaid have very specific guidelines for how and when you can bill a client. If you do not accept Medicare and did not opt out of the network, you will need to refer the client to an in-network Medicare provider. This only pertains to covered services though. If you did opt out of Medicare, you may be able to enter into a private contract with a client for them to self-pay. However, you need to make sure that you review all Medicare guidelines before doing this. When you're calling to verify insurance coverage for medical nutrition therapy, or MNT, you will need to know the member's plan ID, their date of birth, your NPI, tax ID, CPT codes, and ICD-10 codes. You may be on hold for an extended period of time, so make sure you have all of this information ready to go so you don't waste more time once you actually have a representative on the phone. You're going to want to ask a few key things when you call the insurance company. The first is the benefit period. Is the policy active and when does it end? Are referrals needed from a physician for services to be covered? If you do need a referral, make sure you get that before you render services. You will need to keep referrals on file, and typically they're only going to be good for the year. You also want to ask if there is a limitation on the number of visits per calendar year or policy year. Find out if the client needs to meet a deductible first before medical nutrition therapy is covered. If a client has a deductible, find out how much they've already paid towards that and how much is left. I normally don't have clients who have copays for nutrition services. However, if a client does have a copay, it'll be listed on the explanation of benefits that you will get after you submit the insurance claim. Since I do conduct telehealth primarily, I also confirm the place of service, or POS code, which typically is going to be 02 for telehealth. If you are conducting video sessions, make sure to check with the medical policy for each insurance company to use the correct modifier, which is typically going to be something like 95. Always make sure to get a reference number for your call, and make sure you note the representative's name that you spoke with, along with making note of the date and time. I always try to keep track of good numbers and prompts because it'll be easier the next time I call to know what buttons to press so I can actually speak with a representative. I hope this video was useful. Leave me a comment if you have questions about insurance benefits, and thanks for watching.